Imagine standing on the steps to your own death, knowing you have seconds left to live, and still finding the strength to say something so powerful that people remember it hundreds of years later. From queens facing the guillotine with grace, to martyrs making jokes seconds before they were beheaded, to revolutionaries giving courage to their executioners, history is filled with unforgettable last words. And today, we're looking at the most famous ones ever spoken to executioners. And trust me, some of these will give you chills, some will make you laugh, and some will make you question what kind of courage it takes to stare death in the face and speak anyway. So grab a seat, because we're about to go back in time to the very moments where history's most famous figures met their end, and discover what they said in their very last moments on Earth. Before we dive into the stories, let's get one thing straight. Executions weren't just punishments. In history, they were spectacles. Public events meant to terrify people, to send a message, and to show the power of kings, queens, and governments. Crowds gathered, drums beat, executioners sharpened their blades, and the condemned person had one last chance to speak. What you said in that moment mattered, because everyone was listening. Would you beg for mercy, curse your enemies, cry, or would you show bravery, dignity, maybe even crack a joke? Our first story shows what real composure looks like, and it starts with a French queen whose name you probably know. October 16, 1793, Paris. Marie Antoinette, the Queen of France, is being led to the guillotine during the French Revolution. Her life of luxury has made her one of the most hated women in France. She steps out of the cart, climbs the stairs to the scaffold, and then it happens. She accidentally steps on the executioner's foot. And what does she do? She turns to him and says, "Pardon me, monsieur, I did not do it on purpose." That's it. No grand speech, no last-minute plea, just an apology. Polite, composed, and so very queenly. Even in death, she kept her dignity. Now let's go back a little earlier to February 8, 1587. Mary, Queen of Scots, is led to the execution chamber after nearly 19 years of imprisonment under her cousin, Queen Elizabeth II. Before the execution begins, her executioners kneel before her. Yes, kneel, and beg for her forgiveness. Mary's reply? "I forgive you with all my heart. For now, I hope you shall make an end of all my troubles." Think about that for a moment. Her last words weren't angry. They weren't fearful. They were forgiving. And she saw death as a release from her suffering. The axe fell 3 times before the deed was done. But Mary's grace in that moment made her a martyr in the eyes of her supporters. Fast forward to 1922. Ireland during the Irish Civil War. Robert Erskine Childers, a writer turned revolutionary, is captured and sentenced to death by firing squad. As he stands before the soldiers, he looks at them and says, "Take a step forward, lads. It will be easier that way." Can you imagine that? In his final moment, he's not thinking of himself. He's trying to make it easier for the men who have to shoot him. And before his execution, he made his teenage son promise to shake hands with every judge who signed his death sentence. That is what you call dying with honor. Now, for one of my personal favorites. 1535, Sir Thomas More, the former Lord Chancellor of England, is sentenced to death by King Henry VIII for refusing to accept him as the head of the Church of England. More is led to the execution block. The executioner raises his axe, and More stops him and says, "Wait, my beard has not offended the king." He carefully lays his beard aside so it won't be cut by the blade, and then gives the signal. Even in that final moment, he cracks a joke. This is the kind of dark humor that shows just how courageous some of these figures were. Here's a quick bonus one because it's just too good to leave out. Sir Walter Raleigh, English explorer and favorite of Queen Elizabeth I, was executed in 1618. He walked up to the block, touched the axe, and said, "This is a sharp medicine, but it is a physician for all diseases." Then he calmly laid his head down and said to the executioner, "Strike, man, strike. Talk about bravery." and a mic drop moment to end a life. So, what do all these last words have in common? Grace, courage, sometimes even humor. These were people staring death in the face, and instead of breaking down, they chose to say something that would be remembered forever. They turned their last moments into a message. Whether that message was forgiveness, defiance, or even a final joke. Now, I have to ask. If you had just seconds left, what would your last words be? Would you forgive? Would you curse? Would you make a joke? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to read your answers. And if you enjoyed this journey through the last words of history's most fascinating figures, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Because next time, we're diving into even more dramatic moments from the past. History isn't just dates and facts, it's about real people. And moments like these remind us why their stories still matter.